All right, let's talk about how to dominate and win 2026 yet, based on just stuff I've seen lately with us. And this is obviously not the deep one, and we'll talk about that in January a little more. But there's just so much small stuff that get missed and cost most people. And so, what do you think by far the number one most important trait or aspect or anything to win 2026 is going to be?
Consistency.
Be disciplined.
Which all three of those came to one thing. What is that?
Consistency.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Right? So consistency goes in discipline how?
You show up.
Part of discipline is being consistent.
Yeah, because I don't want to show up, right? People aren't going to be consistent naturally. Consistency is an actual discipline. It's not natural. It means it's a skill set I learned, right? And so what does discipline mean? Number one, discipline is small things. What does that mean, think?
Being detail oriented.
You got to actually execute, man. Like, where I was looking at where we're missing a lot of shit, small things. And I will kind of cover some of this twice, but like part of this in the second part. Small things like doing what? Asking for the appointment, pushing for the appointment. We talked about, I did it a few weeks ago, what your numbers look like. If you just asked for an appointment, made an appointment every single day of the year, what your business look like.
Pretty good.
Make $300,000 if you did it, right? Simply. If you just actually did that. We talk about discipline small things, right? What's a good example about discipline small things?
Actually, showing up.
Showing up. Simple. The small things, it's so simple, but people get lazy and don't do it. Just like having a phone call and not put notes in. How am I going to manage 100 people in my bucket if I don't have any notes about it? Or know what they're looking for, what their timeline is, or when they call from, what the lead source is. Those things all matter, right? But this example, 15, how many were total, you think? How many total?
Like 20, 25. And like,
Never seen anything like it. Now, and then all of a sudden, do you think they blame themselves or blame somebody else? Right? And so, this is an example, I can't fix that. That's an internal decision. I can't teach you to live by the code and do what you're supposed to do, right? That's an expectation and a cost of entry to the part, right? Is do what you say you're going to do. It's part of our core values, right? Learners here, make sure you actually do the work, which is doing what? Put people into the system in that part, whatever it is which is important. So, second part, discipline, right? In the script. Why is that important? I'm going to write process too, because where does process come in, do you think?
asking for the appointment.
Asking for the appointment, presentations have listing partners. I got two have 10 appointments each. One signs 2, one signs 7. What's the difference? One follows the presentation, one doesn't. So I talked with my coach. He's like, what do you think the difference is? They're not following the process. How do you know? Because it's so simple. If they follow the process, it would actually work and they sign more people. It's almost that hard to be that bad. Right? It's almost impossible to be at 20% with the leads in the process we have if you just read the chart and did it right and didn't skip anything. And so this is where I'm talking about the opportunities are there, the process is there, the scripts are there, everything's there. You just got to make sure that I'm doing what? Have discipline to do what?
Follow the process.
Stick to it, which is very, very important to do. And that also includes recording it. So I go back and do what? Listen, just like I was talking about 2023. It's the same exact process because humans are humans. Third part, discipline my schedule. This is all about optimization. Making sure I'm taking time, like I said, to go against the distractions we talked about. This is going to be starting 2026. I want to make sure I have my discipline of schedule really dialed in. Why? Because this is where I batch, and this is where I find time and opportunity. So as my capacity gets maxed out, you have to find more time. The way to do that is to get more discipline in your schedule. Which means I get better at saying no to things so I can say yes to the right things. That's from a time standpoint, okay? And so that comes from setting priorities, setting boundaries, and making sure I'm very specific. Now, if I don't take time to block it out and stick to the schedule, what happens to my priorities? They get mixed. I go from proactive to reactive, which costs me money and my opportunity to grow. Makes sense? Which is very, very important. And the fourth thing here, I just look back at everybody else and look at 2025 as a review, discipline of distraction. Everybody has going on. Everybody has problems going on. Everybody has things going on. The difference is some people end up getting off track and some people don't. And the difference of success comes down to the most successful people typically have the most going on or the most problems going on, and guess what they still do? They get the work done and still show up and get it done. Facts, right? And so that comes down to an internal capacity, internal mindset, and what they do and how well they execute. Second piece, 2026, you really win at a high level, right? Comes down to push. What do you think that means?
Pushing yourself.
What does that mean?
Expand your boundaries. What you think you can do, your capacity has to increase.
I've got to get outside the comfort zone. I've got to push what's comfortable. Most people show up and do some comfortable. That's barely getting by. It's barely doing enough for them. So if I'm not getting the results, right, I'm not delivering the amount of action that the market requires. And so I know the only way for me to get what I need to do is to push harder. And so number one, that starts with calls. Right? This comes on the seller side and the buyer side. How many dials am I making? Right? Everybody on the listing side has lots of people falling through the cracks. How do I know? I look at it and see it every day. It makes me sick. The buyer side, lots of people falling through the cracks. It makes me sick. And so it's important for us to make sure, okay, what do I need to push to make sure I can get outside my comfort zone in 2026 to get the result I actually want, which is important. Number 2, biggest weakness I see that allows us to get what we need to do is push for appointments. Mostly on the buyer side, also on the seller side. What does that mean? I actually ask them. And then I get an objection from them, then what do? I handle it, then what do? Ask them again. The key part is, did I ask the question multiple times? Most appointments aren't going to happen unless I ask them 2 or 3 times. Why? Because people naturally aren't going to want to go to an appointment. And so it's my job to overcome the objection and go back and re-ask for the appointment. That's just how you win in business, especially in sales, right? Very, very important for us to remember that we're doing it. Third thing is, I must push through. What do you think next? Logical thinking.
Ask for the business.
Objections. I must make sure I'm pushing through the objections, which is very, very important. How do I do that? Well, I practice it. I record it. I listen to it. But I have to be willing to be vulnerable myself and understand, okay, where am I this up at so far in 2025? And really, this is where, why does this apply to 2026 plan? Because this is where most leverage is at. Anybody watch, who's been the biggest surprise in college football this year?
Say that again.
Who's been the biggest surprise in college football?
Oh, college.
Indiana. Indiana 2 years ago was like one of the worst teams in college football. Now they're one of the best teams in college football, right? Did anybody see the interview with the coach?
Yeah, he's James Madison coach, yeah.
Well, did anybody see the interview, what he said? He said, how did you have success? What was the biggest thing? What do you think he said?
Sticking to the process.
He said, people, plan, process. That was it. We got the right people on board. We had a plan how we did it. We followed the process.
And people trust the process.
Not trick plays. It wasn't some crazy playbook. What they do? They execute the highest level on the basics. But everyone wants the crazy hack. They want the crazy different thing. They want the trick play. No one wins a championship on a trick play. You win it basically nailing people, which is yourself and how you show up. My plan, which I just wrote on the previous page. And 3, how well I actually on the process. That's it. And if I get off the process, what do you think happens in the game of business?
You win.
If I get off the process, I lose. If I stay on the process, I win. It's very, very important. Okay? And so that's key thing what you guys look at. And the 4th thing here added for our listing team is pricing. We're getting hooked on this. Right? We have to be very, 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 very aggressive in pricing. It's important. We can't be aggressive enough. And here's the thing. If I go with low resistance, what tends to happen to my prices?
Nothing.
They're high. And then my listing, what happens?
Sits.
Nothing.
Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Right? We have
It's
to
a
make
waste
sure
of
it
time.
is. And so a perfect example last night. I'm not going to share what it was, but it's important to share for everybody to have an example. I had a lady who's called the office 10 times and wanted to cancel. Wants to cancel the agreement. Hasn't sold yet, building new construction, needs to go switch. She wants to pull it off the market. Initially she said she sold to somebody else up behind her back. Now she wants to rent it. Look back at the listing agreement. It was signed end of August, I think. Right? 8:30 something. We had listed a few showings. The note to Joe said that her friend, his realtor friend, says $275,000. A little bit low. The seller says she'll take $300,000. In the notes, multiple times. Well, we listed at $330,000. Right? Now we're losing a listing to somebody that wants to cancel because of what? Pricing. If we got it priced correctly at $300,000, no matter how aggressive we have to be, no matter what the story is, no matter what around it, we wouldn't be losing a listing for over $300,000, which is $9,000 commission in our pocket. This is what has to be pushing hard to get work. If I know they know it's worth $300,000, they tell me, well, I don't really want $300,000, I need net $300,000, but they know it's only worth that. What do I got to do? Push them very hard and say, well, we know it's worth $300,000, but you want to net $300,000, which is what? Impossible. That's called magic, and we don't do magic here. We do facts here. And so, if you know it's worth $300,000, why the heck would ever list at $330,000? Right? That's a disservice to them and disservice to us. And so this is important. On the listing side, you think you're aggressive enough, and guess what the market says? You're not aggressive enough. Now, you say, well, I can always course correct that, reduce price. What happens after that? They don't reduce the price because they fight you back on it. Or if I do reduce the price, I reduce it $5,000 on a $330,000 house, which happened. What do you think happened with that? Not a thing. We have a $330,000 house and reduce it $5,000. But in the seller's mind, what do they think? I'll just reduce it at 30 grand. But in reality, it doesn't move the needle on. This is what I'm talking about pushing. This is why we're getting asked with in some cases, because we're not pushing hard enough, knowing the market needs more to have results. Does this make sense, you guys? This is how we win 2026. In every level. Beginners, our veterans, it has to do with where do I push the needle and move the needle, where do I push hardest to move the needle the most? It's in these 4 things. Very, very important to look at. Third main piece here. Follow through. What does that mean, you think?
Do what you say you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Which is like what?
Just, get questions answered. I mean, just scheduled. I mean, just communication, really.
Right? I have to do what?
Call you
Here,
back later. Actually, call you back later.
I've got to move them. So, what does that mean? I've got to create urgency. How do I do that? Go back to their pain. Right? I've got to make sure I go back to their pain, what the situation is, and I have to bring forward that pain from the future into now. What happens if we don't do this, right? What happens if we wait longer, we have to bring this into now. The other part is, man, you just got to follow up and just call them. And then what? Text them. And then what?
Email.
Email them. Like, this is so simple, but what happens? We don't do it. Every single seller that's mad at me, what do you think that problem happened?
Not enough communication.
We didn't call them, we didn't text them, we didn't email them. Every listing has a soul. Either didn't push hard enough or didn't follow through. Those are the 2 major problems I have with making life miserable. If we fix that by just doing that, same thing your buyers. Why do your buyers go buy somebody else? Follow through, that's the only reason. So this part here, just so you know, this is where I get them to what? To sign. This is where my sign client happens for 2026. This right here is where the money happens. And so I look at this, right? Overall, I'm able to go through and make sure, what's my follow through? Call, text, email, right? Make sure I'm building urgency. And the one thing I want you guys to do here, I'm write down there is something called future pace. What's future pace mean?
Setting the intentions.
Selling, reselling, and dream. Right? Which page you setting the intention. Here's where we're going, here's what's happening. Hey, and then so that would be things like, hey, I know we may not see anything, let's go look at some properties. Let's go to the properties. Pick your top 3, let's go see them. When are you coming down? I'll show you that property 3 times. I'm going to go do a virtual tour for you. Like, it's really simple. Go in your now every day, look at that properties and do what? Ryan, I saw you look at that property 6 times in 24 hours. How about I go do a virtual tour for you on my phone? Is that cool? If I do that and you like it, you want to buy it? And give me an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sweet. I'm going to look at it. Give me the other answer.
No.
I'd have to look at it myself.
Cool. Let me ask you this, Lucas. If you looked at a property 6 times, would it be safe to say you're pretty interested?
Yeah.
So, would it be worth it me doing the video tour, and then if you like it, you fly down and look at it?
Sure.
And if he says, no, I'm not really interested, say, what would make you look at a property 6 times you weren't really interested? Let me ask you this, Lucas. You read a book 6 times you didn't like?
No.
No, just like you look at a property 6 times you wouldn't like. So, how about we figure out what the difference is between where you're at, where you need to be, and let me fix that for you. Simple, right? This is called sales. Solving the problem. I don't worry about what they tell me. I look at what? What they do. What they do, what they do, what they do, what they do. We have the data and the tools to watch what they do, which makes a massive difference in that overall. And the last thing here. What do you think it is for 2026?
Make your plan. Have your plan.
In a way. It's going to be adapt. And I mean this in a different way, right? I'm trying to figure out how to word this so it's really capture all. But number one, I need you guys to be aware. Aware of what you think. What's that? Yes, you nailed it. Where you're screwing up at. Where's the hole in my bucket at? Where am I missing stuff at? Is my discipline? Which part of the 3 so far am I screwing it up? Am I missing here in the basic part, which is like the coach for Indiana? People, plan, process. Where am I screwing it up at? And so I need you to be aware so that I can do what?
Fix it.
Fix it. Like, it's super simple. There's not a super sexy way. There's no magical script. It's just doing the basic stuff. Okay, am I getting my ass whipped on objections? Okay, I'm getting objections. What do I do?
Role play.
Practice objections. It's 2025, about to be 2026. You don't even need a human to role play with anymore. You can role play with your phone for free. I literally taught that, right? With how we do that with ChatGPT. You can have it role play with you for free. So the reality is there's no excuse if I just do what? Number 1, make sure I get aware of what it is. Number 2, I gotta make sure I adjust that, which means I make a fix. What does that look like, you think?
Write it down and make a plan.
So if I'm stuck at objections, I'm gonna start role playing people. Hey, who can be here at 8 o'clock and want to role play? Why? Because I want to be successful in 2026, right? Or am I getting beat on my phone calls? Okay, help me create a schedule. Let me have an accountability partner. I'm not asking for appointments. Okay, let me shadow Chris, see what Chris is doing. He booked 30 appointments in 1 month. right? Okay, I just asked for an appointment. And I may need to watch him do it so I can get belief that it's possible. I watch a dude book 30 appointments, I might think this is pretty easy. It's important to make sure I'm doing what? Figuring out where it is. Now, for me to be able to be any good at this part, I have to make sure I drop what? The ego. But it's easier to blame something else than it is to look inside and figure out what the problem is. Okay? So that's a key part. Third piece. Third. Is I must learn. Meaning, I kind of got ahead of myself here. I must figure out what exactly am I missing in terms of how I do it. What's Chris doing I'm not doing? What's Barry doing I'm not doing? Right? What's Jeremy doing I'm not doing? That I need to make sure I can course correct to get where I need to be. And so that allows me to do what? Close the gap faster in 2026. Now I don't want to wait in Q2. I want to wait until I'm doing this in January, potentially December, which is very, very important. Because my pricing, what do I need to do about pricing? Fix it. How do I do that?
Ask for price reduction.
Number one, let's say I still can't get that. Well, number one, watch the videos that Blake gave because there's a detailed place to get price reductions. Some people haven't done that yet. Number two, right? I'm going to ask people what they're doing. Number three, I can go on YouTube and say, how do I get my overpriced listing to reduce the price? And guess what you're going to get? 6,000 videos that tell you exactly how to get a price reduction. What's the problem? That takes work and it takes time, and people are too lazy to do that. So I got to make sure it's just so simple in terms of plan and process, right? I got to all figure out this how you win 2026. Super simple. It's very, very important to this is come just making sure I can figure things out. But with the world today, it helps me be able to find what I need to in any circumstance, really. And the last thing is make sure I improve. And that means what? I've got to make sure my personal development plan is already in place right now to adapt to the market, right? I think you're going to see hopefully rates continue to go down, which we're hoping for, which will allow there to be a massive frenzy. Most of the people I'm talking to, national coaches, are pretty bullish on what they think will happen. Mastermind last week, my buddy Jim, with a big team in Tennessee. He's super bullish on what he thinks will happen in 2026. He kind of broke down reasons why, the amount of buyers who've been on the sidelines for X amount of time. If the rates do get down a little bit, it does make sense to make moves. There's just a lot of metrics that show that there could be great opportunity for buyers. And so my job as the agent here to be an expert is make sure I get ahead of this so I can fill the gaps in the bucket and go from the Indiana of 2 years ago into the Indiana of today, which allows me to be what? A champion, right? Which is very, very important for us. Feedback, questions about that?
Wait, what was the fourth one? Is it proof or prove?
Improve.
Thank you.
Which means like personal development. Like everybody's got to be obsessed with personal development. Why? Very competitive marketplace right now. Very, very high resistance. And I gave you guys the example before, right? We're still in the gap. This is something we still are. It's true everywhere I go. This is what's happened the last couple of years. So you have the market. What's happened? 2021, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Same thing here, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's happened is buyer resistance has gone through the roof. Their confidence has gone down. Rates have been high. They have a million more choices. More deals fall through. They're scared to make purchases. Sellers are still thinking their property is still worth what it was in 2021, which means the gap between buyers here and sellers here is larger than it's ever been, which is why it's hard to get deals put together, which is why more deals are falling apart than ever before. You guys seen that in the national news, right? It's what, 15% of every deal, maybe more than that. It's a lot of deals that fall through. It's on Instagram a lot. And what do you think the agent training has been? Right here. So they're operating the same way they did years ago, where the brand new people are coming in, which is still, you're just like the other ones where you don't really know how to bridge the gap yet. And so the only way to bridge this gap here is to improve my skill set. And so how do I do that? I got to make sure that I improve and level up who I am, what my skill set is as a person, a business person. Questions about that? Ryan, what are you hearing from that?
For me, man, it's just being obsessed with like yourself, of like putting it all together, like